Okay, so if you've gotten this far, depending on how you got here, you either read through the material that I've created out there for you, you've found me on YouTube, you've clicked on the link below, and you've seen that material. But in a lot of cases, doing is a little bit easier than just reading about it. So that's really kind of why I put this little video together, is to kind of walk you through some of the steps, some of the tools, some of the ways, some of the practices of using Twitter. So that's really kind of the goal behind this. So let's go ahead and jump on in and take a look at my Twitter page, and we'll kind of talk about hashtags and retweets and all that kind of stuff. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. So here is my Twitter page. If you go out and search for me and actually go to my page, this is where you'll end up. And you see some of the things that we've got going on right here. First thing I want to do is I want to show you really kind of what it looks like if you find me. This is what you should see once you go look at my Twitter page. So you'll see all these various tweets that I've tweeted out. Some of my biographical information, number of tweets, etc., etc. You've got your navigation bar up here. I clicked on me so I can kind of see what other people see. In the lesson, one of the things you might have noticed was the opportunity to customize the way this looks and feels. Obviously, I'm a professor at Tarleton State University, so you'll see I've put my photo up there. We've got the big T for Tarleton there in the background for the banner image. And the way I did that was here under settings. I can edit my profile, and you can go in there and you can do all kinds of stuff. You can manipulate the colors, then you can do a photo. You can manipulate the header colors. This is actually the image of that big T. It just looks purple because of the size of it. You can include your name there that you want to show up right here. By the way, this is the name that you enter there. This is actually your Twitter handle. So when you go to register, it'll ask you for your name, for your full name, but then it'll also ask you for your username, and that's where you're going to type in. That's where I typed in Schuessler, PhD. Twitter automatically adds the @ and so that becomes your Twitter handle. It's a good way to look people up or direct messages to them. You can enter other information if you want. Again, my name, where I live, my personal website, a little bit of biographical information, things like that. Me personally, I don't. I do have a Facebook account. I do not link my Facebook account to anything because it's really more personal use. My other social media accounts are really more professional use, and I try to separate those two. But it's up to you if you like to kind of integrate everything. That's certainly your prerogative. So you'll see there's a lot of other settings over here, and we'll actually come back to, for example, widgets here in a little bit and take a look at what that does. One of the things you're going to notice up here is the search bar, and you can search for a variety of different things. A little bit ago, I searched for network security. If it's a topic that you're interested in, go search for that. I could also search for, let's say, secondary education. And we can see what comes back there. You can see a variety of different tweets that are going out by different people related to that search, and you can go look at a particular user's handle and see what else they're tweeting. So this particular person's name, Twitter handle is GetMagicBox, and you'll see some of the different tweets that they've sent out. If you want to follow them, all you have to do is click on follow. If you see some of the tweets that you think are particularly interesting, that you think relate to you, and you think that might be a good source in the future for finding out good information about whatever topic it is that you're interested in, simply click follow, and you'll be following that individual or that organization. So it's a good way to kind of expand the people that you're following. Twitter is a really useful way for learning about new things by following the right people, by following the right organizations. Very few people on Twitter actually create content. Most people are simply consuming content and then passing that content along to other people that they think might be interested. But if you're creating content, it's certainly something, a good way to kind of disseminate that information and say it's available now, so it's free to be accessed. So Twitter's a really useful tool from that perspective. Something else to kind of look at, I'll go back to my page here real quick. Something else you can take a look at is some of the things that we've got in some of these tweets down here. For example, these are some of the courses that I thought, or that I'm teaching right now in the summer, and these are what's referred to as hashtags. Be sure and separate these by a space. And what a hashtag is basically is it's a category, if you will, or it's a predetermined search term, things of that nature. So if I wanted to make it easy to find the same topic, all the tweets on the same topic, I want to come up with some sort of a unique hashtag, and then when I click on that, or my followers click on that, they're going to find all the tweets that happen to have that same hashtag in it. So you'll see these various tweets that it's found that has that hashtag in it. So it's a nice way to organize unique events or unique topics, and that can be quite useful. For example, in my social media class, we're using CIS 590. That's the course number. And if anybody's interested, they can simply click on that and they can see all the tweets that have gone out, not just for me, but from other users as well. They can see the different ones that people have tweeted using that hashtag. Something else to take a look at, let's go back to me here real quick. And let's see, actually I want to go to, here's one right here. This is a student that I've got right here, so he has retweeted one of my tweets. This RT stands for retweet, and then it produces his Twitter handle, and basically that's a way of basically giving credit where credit is due. He's retweeted mine. He's letting me know about that and saying privacy is not dead, or actually I'm retweeting his. I'm giving credit where credit is due. And I've added privacy is not dead. And then there's a short little link to the article which he's referring to. So if I want to pull that up and read the actual article, it'll pull this up and I can read about it. And again, this is a good way to learn about a new topic and figure out what that particular topic is about, and if it's of interest to me. If not, then I can pass on and move to the next one. So retweeting, what you'll see is that if you see that RT there, that means that the tweet has been retweeted. It's coming from this original person, or this person has posted it. They may be retweeting it themselves. But that way, if you find something like this and you see that a tweet has been retweeted, you can go back to the original tweeter and see what some of their tweets are about. And if you're interested in following them, then again you can click on the follow button, and that way you're following that person. So again, it's a good way to find new sources to be able to follow in order to find good information. Now, along that same line of thinking, if you want to direct a tweet at someone, you want to create a tweet and you want to direct it at a particular user, you can go up here and click create a new tweet, and you simply use the @ symbol and then whatever their Twitter handle happens to be. So in this case, I'm just going to tweet it to myself. And then click tweet, and it's going to send out that tweet. And so you see it's already showing up down here in my Twitter feed, and that's how you're going to send out a tweet. Now, one of the other things that I think is particularly cool about Twitter is the ability to create widgets. A widget is basically a snippet of code. It allows you to embed it in websites. I know that a lot of professionals, for example, will have their Twitter feed embedded in their website, for example. They may have it embedded in other places. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up the result of embedding a Twitter widget, and you can kind of see what I'm talking about. So this is my web page at Tarleton State University, and what we've ended up doing is embedding it right over here. And so as I tweet things out, you'll see different things that pop up right in there. And you can click on follow. It's a nice little way. You can send a tweet directly to me if you wanted to from there. And it's just a nice little way to create dynamic content in a web page that you don't necessarily want to edit all the time. Another advantage to this is if your users don't happen to have a Twitter account, they can still take advantage of your tweets. So you don't have to have a Twitter account to be able to come over here and see this Twitter feed and then be able to click on that link and open up that story. So it's a nice way to be able to take advantage of Twitter even though your users may not be using Twitter. Again, if you're a professional, you can certainly use this on your personal website, your professional website. If you're a teacher, if you had a teacher's website, say in Weebly or something like that, you can embed this in your Weebly site and be able to reach students through Twitter, again, without the students necessarily having to have a Twitter account. So that's a nice little tool to have. Another thing to go look at is I want to show you how I'm actually using it in Blackboard. So I'm going to pull up my Blackboard account here real quick, and you'll be able to take a look and see that that's basically what I'm doing in our Blackboard shell as well. And again, it's a way for me to update our Blackboard shell without necessarily having to log into Blackboard and update the specific Twitter feed. I can simply do it through Twitter. I can find a story that I think is relevant, I share it, and it will automatically show up in the Twitter feed in the Blackboard shell. So let's go ahead and pull this up. Okay, so we got summer 2014. Since this is the social media class, I'm going to go ahead and go in to that real quick. And on the home page, I've embedded a Twitter widget. And in case you haven't been following along at home, it shows up right down here. And these are the various tweets that I've sent out. Now you'll notice the sample tweet that I sent out looks like it doesn't automatically populate your Twitter feed if you're sending it to yourself. But normally they automatically populate there. You can see the ones here 12 hours ago that went out, 23 hours ago, etc. So how do you actually embed that? Well, first I'm going to show you the actual code itself that we're talking about embedding, and then I'll go show you where we pull that code from. So I want to go edit my home page here for Blackboard. I want to look at the actual HTML of that code. Now, you don't have to know HTML. It's not a requirement. Certainly for teachers that are a little squeamish about stuff like that, especially as it relates to I don't think I clicked on the right thing. Especially for teachers that might be a little squeamish about understanding code and all that kind of stuff. You don't have to know it. You do have to play with it a little bit in terms of pasting it in the right place. But essentially all you're doing is going to copy and paste that code from the Twitter widget that you create into Weebly, for example. So here what I've done is I pulled up the HTML version of my Blackboard homepage, and down here at the very bottom where I want my Twitter feed to appear, I've inserted that code right there. And you'll see the code that's relevant, the Twitter timeline, it pulls it from my account, all that kind of stuff. And that's all it is. I just pasted it right in there, and you'll paste it wherever it is. Now, Blackboard's a little quirky, if you will. It has to be the last thing that I actually put into the page. If I don't, it breaks that feed. And then I have to go back and actually paste the exact same thing into the exact same place to get it to work properly. But that's just a little quirk in Blackboard. You shouldn't have that kind of problem in Weebly or anything like that. Now, where do you create that widget? Well, that widget is back over here where we're going to customize things. So if we want to edit things, we can come back over here and we can click on widgets, and you'll see these. I've actually got a couple of different widgets, and I click on edit, and this is where you'll type in your different information that you want to be able to create in the feed. I'm using my username there. That's what I want it to pull back any tweets that I send out. I'm excluding replies. You don't have to do that. You auto expand photos. You don't have to do that if you don't want the photos themselves showing up in your feed. For example, that photo right there, Twitter is over capacity. You don't have to do that. You can certainly uncheck that. You can set the height of your window. You can adjust that if you want. You can adjust the theme, the link colors, etc. So there's several different things that you'll set over here. Opt out of tailoring Twitter. You can save changes, and what's going to happen is it's going to, once you do all this, it's going to create this code right down here. That's all you do is you copy that code, and that's what you paste into, in my case, my Blackboard shell. In Weebly, when you go to embed code, you'll do the same thing. You'll simply paste that as your embed code, and then you'll have your Twitter feed. So that is pretty much it when it comes to Twitter. Hopefully this will really kind of help you to be a little bit more comfortable using Twitter. You'll get out there and play with it. I think there are a lot of applications for it that in a lot of cases you don't quite think about until you see somebody else doing it. And that's how we learn. That's how we kind of start to see how we can apply a particular application, in this case Twitter, to best suit our needs. It's like I said earlier, it's a great way to follow trendsetters in your particular area, and read what they're reading, things like that. And at the same time, it can be, especially if you're a content generator, it's a good way to disseminate some of that information. So hopefully you'll take a look at the video, take a look at the text in the lesson, and be able to glean a little bit of information from that. Other than that, that's all I've got for you. If you do have any questions, by all means, shoot me an email, send me a message, things of that nature, and I'll get back with you. Take care and have a good day.